Welcome to TCB, Taking Care of Business. I'm Ilinda, your host, and I'm so glad you decided to join us because today's topic is a very important topic. It's one that I've wanted to talk to you about for a very long time, and it is facing your fears. What does your face of fear look like? And so it's just me, so we can have this intimate conversation, and you can do some looking into yourself to say, what does my face of fear really look like? Well, you're probably saying, I don't have any fears, Ilinda. I really don't. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm not afraid of anybody. But I'm here to challenge you to do some deep thinking and figure out what is holding you back from your highest potential. What's keeping you from moving forward and accomplishing your dreams? Let's look at the definition of fear. Somebody said fear is face everything and run, or forget everything and retreat. But there's a definition that I've learned and I love, and I don't know if Zig Ziglar was the very first person to talk about it, but he said that fear is false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Now, I'm a speaker, speaking all over the country, writing books, doing workshops, but there was always a fear of speaking in front of people. So I had to figure out, what can I do, since this is something that I love to do, but every time I get ready to get in front of an audience, that nervous stomach, the butterflies, all of that starts happening. So what do I need to do to face that fear? But what I'm trying to say to you is that you have to really evaluate what it is that's keeping you from doing what you need to do in life. And we all have those things that stop us. We have the false evidence that appears real. Now for me, the false evidence was that I was going to get in front of an audience, say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, stumble over my words, say them incorrectly, and the audience would laugh. I would be embarrassed, and that would be the end of my career. Well, what was false about that? That really could happen. But the false part about that was it hadn't happened. I hadn't spoken in front of that particular audience yet. I hadn't embarrassed myself. And so therefore, I was acting off of a fear, acting off of something that hasn't really happened. And we do that throughout our life. When we're thinking of starting a business, well, what happens if? The what ifs. So I want you to look at your fear. There are only two fears that we're born with. That is, but the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Now, those are two innate. So where do we get all those other fears? Where were we programmed to receive that information? Well, the first two people in our life perhaps are our parents. What our parents fear probably were programmed into us and created a pattern. And those patterns create attitudes and beliefs and actions or lack of action. Those fears keep us from going out and meeting people. Someone said to me, networking is a very hard thing for me to do. What you need to do in that instance is sit down and say, okay, now, when I walk into a room full of people and I'm ready to network, what is the fear that keeps me from walking up to someone and saying, hi, I'm Ilinda. Nice to meet you. What is it you do? What is a fear? It's the fear of rejection. That someone will reject me, someone will, you know how you reach out to shake someone's hand and they act like they don't even see your hand. Well, that's the greatest form of rejection right there. Or they shake your hand and they give you this really limp handshake saying basically, non-verbally, I don't really want to shake your hand. Or they say hello and immediately turn their back as if you're insignificant. So because you have that fear of that happening, you may not even approach the situation in a networking situation. Fear of rejection. We're afraid of people, someone won't love us. And so as a parent, that's a very important fear because we try to become a friend to our children rather than to be a parent. Because I don't want to be rejected by my child because that's a loss of love. That child won't love me. That child won't see me as a successful parent. And so therefore, I bend over backwards trying to help my child to accept me and to love me. And then what happens is the child just begins to take advantage of that situation. They're a child. You had to do was figure out what was motivating what you do. We do so many things in life that we don't really sit down and figure it out. What do I need to fix my life? What do I need to do to fix my life? We break things in the house, break the refrigerator, break the stove, break the car. What do? We fix it. We fix it. So fix whatever it is that's not working. There's a statement that says, the most effective of all human fears, which prevents the development of one's potential, is the fear of failure. The most effective of all human fears, which prevents the development of one's potential, is the fear of failure. That's another fear. We're afraid of failing. And why are we afraid of failing? Because I'll look bad in front of others. So that business, that passion that's been in your heart to start, you know that it's been God-given. You know that it's a talent that God has given you to do something. But you just don't do it because you're afraid of failing. What if it doesn't work? If it doesn't work, so what? At least you will have tried. Thomas Edison said, at maybe 799 ways of trying to work with the light bulb. And understand, he didn't invent it. He only created the filament that caused it to last longer. But at 799 times of failing, someone would say to him, well, you failed 799 times. Why you keep trying? And he said, I haven't failed. I've simply learned 799 ways it doesn't work. And then he continued until it actually happened. When you are afraid of failing, you have to just turn that switch off and say, no matter what, I'm going to try to do this. And if it doesn't have the expected outcome, because that's really what it's about. In our head, we set up how it's going to work, how it should look. But when we have the expected outcome in mind, when it doesn't happen that way, we say we failed. It doesn't work that way. Turn the light switch and say, I will have tried it this way, and now I need to try it a different way. Well, people say for me, I overcompensate. I overcompensate for fear, and I just love to live on the edge. I love to take risk. I love to jump out of an airplane. At my 40th birthday, I jumped out of an airplane because I just simply wanted to do it. Someone said to me, well, Ilinda, what happens if you get up in the plane and you change your mind? Now, they expected me to say, well, you know, I'll just have to do it anyway because y'all on the ground watching me. No. I said to myself and to them, if I get up there and I change my mind, then so what? At least I've gone up and I tried, and I'll just come back down. But it was very successful. So I'm going to continue to help you to get over those conscious and unconscious fears. When you decide, I need to conquer this fear, you've just got to go ahead and do it. Tell people. When I told people, my family said, no, you need some counseling. You need some psychological help. But I didn't let their talking stop me because it's something I really wanted to do. When you get in the airplane and you go up into the air, when the person opens the door and says, okay, Ilinda, it's time to get out, that's when the real commitment comes and you have to make a decision. I'm going out of this plane because there's only one other way once I get out here is to get out, you know, open the parachute and go. But that's what you've got to do. You've got to say, I'm going to do this and tell people so that the people will know that you're going to do it and encourage you. Get people around you that say, yes, I want to do it. My children were on the ground, a few of them. I only have 3, but one of them said, no, I'm not going to go watch you die. But children, grandchildren were on the ground, and they were excited. Find people that are excited about what you want to do. Don't get the dream killers because you're already filled with fear and doubt. You don't need people speaking to that. So get out there and just say, I'm just going to do this. I went whitewater rafting. Whitewater rafting? Well, you say that's, a lot of people have done that, but I did it and I couldn't swim. And I fell out of the boat, sure enough. Helmet came off, son-in-law grabbed me when I came back up. I'm so glad I had a great relationship with my son-in-law, because otherwise he could have just let me go and I'd be floating down the river. He'd go back and tell my daughter, I lost your mom. But whitewater rafting was an exciting thing. Going down and just the waves and everything was just exciting. Are you just going to live life just sitting on the shore, watching other people do the exciting things that you really want to do? Now, I'm not telling you to jump out of a plane. I'm not telling you to go whitewater rafting. I'm telling you and challenging you to figure out what it is you want to do and do it, and not just sit on the sidelines. We've got a picture of me being wrapped with a boa constrictor. You said, now, Ilinda, you just out there. But there isn't anything in life that I want to take to the grave with me, because I was afraid to do it and really wanted to. I've told people when I go, I want a stone that says, she did it. It, whatever the it is, because that is the energy in life. A lot of us are walking through life as the living dead. Just existing, going to work day after day, the whole routine, getting off of work, going home, doing the same things the same way, and you're getting the same results. So it's time to stop and say, what do I really want out of life? Am I doing what I love? Am I passionate about it? You have to learn how to make fear your slave and not your master. We are just very small things we encounter, face those fears. If you get into a fearful situation, then learn some techniques that help you to overcome. Perhaps it's deep breathing. Okay, now, when I say deep breathing, it means breathing very deeply from your diaphragm, because that's where you're supposed to breathe from. Now, if you don't do that, you start hyperventilating, and that doesn't calm your fear. It doesn't calm you. You have to do some deep breathing, and you have to practice that in an off time when you're not afraid. Deep breathing. Then meditation. Meditate simply means get one thought in mind and focus on that thought, something that enables you, something that inspires you. That's what life is about. Life is about just taking those hills, taking that challenge and saying, what is it I need to do to get up this hill? I can do it. And then when you get to the top of the hill, it's the most fun, just flowing with it, okay? So start that business. Talk to people that are already doing what it is you want to do. When I decided to become a professional speaker, I talked to Les Brown, because he was a person that I saw as being successful in the field of speaking. And I asked Les, what is it that is the downside of speaking? And he told me it was things like waking up in a hotel room and not remember what city you're in, because you're just going from city to city. Or the different things that occur that would make it a downside. And so I had to evaluate that and say, well, Ilinda, what is it that you would like to do? What kind of schedule would you like to keep? What's comfortable for you? So for me, I decided when I go into a city to speak, I go in maybe a day early or come out a day later, so that I can have an opportunity to enjoy that city and relax and come down before I come back home. Don't use your fears to face everything and run, or forget everything and retreat, but face it and deal with it. Sit down, get a piece of paper, a notebook, and say, okay, what is it I want to do? What is holding me back? Who do I need to talk to that's already doing what I'm doing? And then face that fear. And until next time, I'm suggesting to you, I'm not just suggesting, I'm challenging you to face your fears. And TCB, take care of your business.